afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the fourth round of the ESR ACC GT Challenge. This is 2016 edition. I'm your host, Cole McCray. We're joined as always by wonderful Justin Swan here. Say hello, Justin.
Hey.
Howdy doody. We are today at the illustrious Zandvoort circuit in Zandvoort, Netherlands. One of my favorite circuits. I've made no mistake. I should say, I mince no words in my love for this circuit. It's very, very fun and makes for some very interesting racing, to say the least. We come in the midst of potential drama already without any racing actually happening. Let's flip over to the broadcast view real quick, where you can see we have 25 cars, or 24 I should say, not including Mr. Race Director over there. And so, in spite of today being the Indy 500 race day, we have plenty of traffic going on. Cannot complain about that, can't complain about that. So the drama to which I was referring just a moment ago is Matt Higgs having some mechanical problems with his car. There was just a general drama. I've forgotten when that they're going to be racing against the clock. We've actually delayed the race just a smidge to try and see if we can get him going, but it's hopefully looking good. I think I got word that they started the car, not gonna have time to get qualifying, at least this pre-qualifying session done, but at the very least they will hopefully be able to get out on the track, even if they have to start from the pits. Of course, as in the previous races, we have a qualifying race apropos of the original Blancpain GT series that happened around the area that we're trying to emulate here, so he will have some time. As usual, the race, the formatting is the qualifying race of 20 minutes. So that will start shortly after this qualifying session ends. We'll have a little changeover. So that gives some time, as you can see all the cars flying around the track on the upper right there, making rounds. We actually just had a fun little exchange here. Let's maybe move to our current pole sitter, Albert Arjona. Am I reading that right?
Oh yeah.
Wow,
He put down a screamer while we were doing our introductions.
No kidding, a double snipe, because it was Burke had just sniped it from Castaña Munoz. Looks like Munoz got it back, and then Arjona just basically secured it for his teammate. As I kind of mentioned, this is not indicative of actual qualifying results. This is pre-qualifying, but it is a good sign, as we know.
Can we follow on board with Burke? This is his final lap, and
Let's do that.
He is right on the money. He is right now. He's exactly 0.000 across the board. So he's not out of it yet. If he can find 2/10 in this final sector, in the rest of this lap here, we might see him re-sniping it. So I just want to make sure we get it on board for that. He's still technically he's the most consistent driver in the field by a long shot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching his live split right now, and he is so bang on. It's actually scary how consistent he is. Now he's down half a tenth here. He's going to have to find it all in the Audi S.
Absolutely. And these, we talked a little bit before this, the Porsche and the Ferrari are going to be very confident here. We can see the top five completely dominated by the Italian war machine in this instance. And he's coming around the last corner. Looked like he lost
he had a bit of a bobble there.
Yeah.
No, this one's going to be a no good from him.
Yeah.
And on my timing sheet, there are no drivers still completing their laps that are in the green. Yeah, we're going to go ahead
There we go. Race
roll
session
it back to the pits.
Ended. Pre-qualifying. Albert Arjona first place. Javier Castaña Munoz second. A wonderful showing for teammate XRT, at least in this pre-qualifying.
And Wesley Stokes in fourth.
Yep, Wesley Stokes falling right behind.
That's another AXRT.
They got it locked down. If they can hold it on, commentators curse incoming. Sign the air raid sirens, but they have it set up pretty well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's get this interface set up. So as you can see on our track readout up in the top right, it's sitting pretty well in as far as conditions go. Temperatures are 17 Celsius for the air and 23 for the track, which is honestly not what we expected. I thought we were predicting it was going to be rainy, to be honest. But it
I mean, we
seems
see some clouds rolling in. They're very mild, but our weather forecast shows the clouds rolling in. And remember, the race qualifying race doesn't take place until 8 p.m.
that's correct. So there's still possible chance. I mean, we have moderate clouds throughout the forecast. I noticed when I jumped in here that it was there. It almost seemed like there was a haze. I wonder if there's some fog maybe rolling in that could play some sort of a role. But no way to say until the fat lady sings.
Oh yeah. So I'm curious what the holdup is here on our ACC session. Curious about it. But in the meantime, I guess we're just gonna go ahead and fill time.
No problem.
So did Higgs make it back into the lobby? No,
I
Higgs has
saw
not made it into the
he's
lobby.
not in the lobby. I saw him boot up the. I saw him start the car, shall we say?
Yeah.
But I don't see him in the session. So I do wonder what's going on. This qualifying race is gonna be a little bit. I mean, it's fortunate for him that he doesn't have a qualifying.
No, Higgs made it. He
Oh,
made
he
it.
did.
He's at the back of the grid.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. The grid only goes to 23, so he's just right there at the end. So not going to be a great start for the Canadian, but it will be better than not starting at all. That is for damn sure. Let's see. I'm trying to get on my monitor here, but the timing isn't showing up. That's all right.
So he's
We'll
going to have
just
a lot to do if he wants to get a good start for this race here. Track temperatures down to 12 degrees Celsius. We're
Oh,
looking at
wow.
about a 50-degree race here in Fahrenheit. Track
Very
is also cold.
very chilly. Yeah, they both jumped, so it was 17 and 23. Now it's 12 and 12. So the cars will be a little grippier, but it'll be a trick to manage that, and because that could also change between the qualifying and the race. So we'll have to see with this 20-minute session. As always, with a short race like this, no pitting required. Uh, Damage notwithstanding. Kind of still a bit surprised. David Nelson in 13th place, not getting a great pre-qualifying. The Lamborghini is a little bit of a loose cannon on this circuit. Little more stable perhaps than the Audi, to which it is a stablemate, but John Archie has made good enough use of it. As Zandvoort being, as you can see, a primarily corner dominated circuit, the straight line speed cars will tend to struggle here. So we can see 23rd place Max Simmons in that absolutely rocket ship of a Lamborghini Rex, but it will not, luck does not favor the car on this circuit. Ditto for the
Absolutely not.
Ditto for the BMWs, although Javier Eugeni, in being a veteran to the M6 battleship, it made a pretty good, at least pre-qualifying, ninth place,
Oh,
right
it's doing.
alongside.
He's doing his best.
He's proven to be a force in that BMW, even in past seasons 3 and 2. He stuck with a BMW and did very well anyway.
A very
So
dominantly resilient driver.
he might be someone to watch. We'll have to see though as we come up to the start of this race for a short pace lap. And green flags waving, green flags waving. We already have a McLaren diving to the inside, crossing pit lane lines, but it didn't seem too egregious. I believe that's Shoei Nagase. The Porsches
And
immediately secure the podium, at least up to the race up to turn 1. Or Andy Brook had the inside. Going to be a little bit hard to negotiate that into a pass. Keeping it very clean, not too much carnage going on. Always good to see.
yeah, so far so good. And it looks like the only a few taps. Only a few taps. Couple cars had a few nudges, but nothing severe, and everybody's going the right direction.
We did have a car
Although
slide, the number 135.
I was gonna say
Tony,
DeLuca, what happened to him?
not entirely sure.
It looks like he had a contact with a few other cars, or maybe they had contact with him. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at that replay on my end here and see what I can
Good
find.
idea. But otherwise, very clean, very clean. Not too much shuffling in the order. We did
Oh,
see
it
the
looks like he got turned by, I believe that's Big Lino.
number 9 of Sean Kenny make it past the number 2 of Sean Kenny make it past the number 35 of Javier Eugeni. The Audi proving to be a bit of a force in the twisty turn or sector 2. But meanwhile, Team AXRT cleaning up, at least for now.
And it looks like
We
we
got some,
have one of the Boots and Guignon BMWs with some damage on the rear of the car. He fell from 17th position back with what looks like Josh McLaughlin as well. So we're going to have to
mhm.
take a look at that on the replay here.
I just earmarked that as a point. Josh McLaughlin in the number 64 McLaren was stopped in the Audi S's for just a couple of seconds. And it's just progressing. Zandvoort is somewhat infamous, or yeah, a little bit of notoriety. Yeah, Tommaso Bigino into the pits, or no, getting a drive-through penalty. Perhaps egregious track limits abuse.
Nope, that's for the first lap contact in the scrutiny zone.
Oh, I see.
Just for that.
Oh yes, I
We
forgot the
are
scrutiny zone applied to the qualifying race as well.
yes. We're gonna go ahead and take a look to see what happened to the number 64. See if we can find anything. I'm gonna see if I get some info for
Meanwhile,
you.
the number 135 of Gianluca De Luca, the Ferrari, is in the pits. I believe he got
He
towed.
got the damage from being turned by Big Lino.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little smidge of a cluster right now, but the number 22 and 2 of Sean Kenny and Brandon Baker
Oh
reversed
man.
respectively.
I've got the replay up here. It would appear that Josh McLaughlin did take he missed his braking point and he went ahead and he sent around Mr. Christopher Stevenson into the Audi hairpin
What a
or
shame.
Audi S.
Chris Stevenson has been a very firm contender, especially in the bronze category. I am interested to see how he recovers. Although that said, he is in that BMW. Matt Haig still holding on to 20th place, only getting past the penalized and or spinning cars. And not too much drama going on from what I can see immediately. We have a couple of battles duking out. Max Simmons is what was that? We had a car going off. I saw it bouncing. I think that was Javier Eugeni, perhaps. I saw a white car. Wasn't entirely sure. Nope. I don't know what I saw. Might have been a curb. So Matt Higgs is in a terrible position right now. He desperately wants to get by that Lamborghini of Max Simmons. He's got to try to make up any positions that he can, but it's just torture. You can see him. He's trying to go. He's trying to have a look at basically every corner, but the track is too thin. The Lamborghini is too fast in a straight line, which is the best passing opportunities, and especially I mean, even in the last turn, Lugendikbocht, it's just not. It just can't happen. And we see Shoei Nagase botch the last turn and cause some chaos. Max Simmons barely gets around her, and Matt Higgs throws it up the inside and has a little bit of contact. It gets a little bold. Looks like he's trying to have it around the outside of turn one. Carson balked. Oh no, but he botches it. Gets a little bit aggressive on the inside, ends up recovering it, almost spins, showing Nagase right alongside now. Let's get a closer look at that. Now this is causing the cars behind Tomas Sabina, Chris Stevenson, Josh McLaughlin to get tangled up. These are the back runners. And less drama for Matt Higgs. Although the most important part, Max Simmons is still ahead of him. I have no doubt that Higgs will catch Simmons without a huge amount of trouble. But as Jeremy Clarkson once said, Catching up is one thing, getting by is quite another. Especially when what you're trying to get past has 17,000 pounds of thrust, like that Lamborghini does.
This is race control. Remember, number 333, you have to serve a drive through this lap or your car will be black flagged to the pits.
Note from Justin to the 333 of Tommaso Buino to serve that drive-through penalty. Let's pop back up with our leaders. Alberto Hona and Javier Castaño Munoz have more or less checked out. They are catching the lapped car of Tommaso Buino. No, not Tommaso Buino. That is the 135. Gianluca De Luca? Yes.
Reminder to car number 64. This is your final lap to complete your drive-through penalty, or you will be black flagged to the pits.
The 64 of Josh McLaughlin running out of his window to serve drive-through.
Yes, sir.
I must say, you sound very professional when you're giving those announcements. I'm like, ooh, this shit's going down. You're gonna have problems.
Hey, you know what? I had to work in intercom before. I know how it works. You press the button, you make sure you put a little bit of bass in your voice. It's all right.
Maybe I should take a couple lessons.
You say with your chest. So, following along with our leaders here, Arjona and Castano have checked out fairly confidently. They've got
Yeah.
a nice little gap, though nothing totally secure if there's a mistake over Burt.
Well, I was
And
gonna. Oh, sorry.
no, I was just to say that they've got a nice little gap here. If things go well, they will be finishing 1-2, which is amazing for them for points because that will be 19 bonus points for their team. With Stokes, that'll be another 7 bonus points. So they'll be looking at 26 bonus points just for qualification race points, and they need that.
So as we check in with the battle we've been watching earlier, Maximin still holds off Matt Higgs. He caught him a lap ago, and he's still being forced to stay behind there. This has to be painful for Matt Higgs. He has made it up to 17th, although that is mainly because Max Simmons has gotten all the way up to 19th as well. Josh McLaughlin diving for that pit, smart maneuver. And he tries to make a move on the outside of Tarzanbach yet again, but Simmons holds the inside. Gets a little uneasy out of that, but unfortunately, track is too narrow.
He just
Higgs
can't make
cannot.
it work. He almost got it around him there. He
Well, he
almost
did
got
that a
it
couple
around
laps
him
ago
there.
too, but it's sketchy, especially with the camber of turn 1.
Oh no, we have 2 cars
35.
off right now.
The 911.
The
That's
911 of Wesley
Wesley
Stokes.
Stokes.
We're going to go ahead and watch that one back and see what's going on here.
Likewise.
The old commentator's curse.
Yeah. Looks like what got around Gianluca De Luca. De Luca actually nosed up on the inside without really realizing it, and I think Stokes didn't realize and kind of cut him off a little bit. Just letting a bunch of cars by. Brandon Baker and Sean Kenny among them. An unfortunate maneuver for Wesley Stokes. He's fallen to at least 8th. Looks like it'll be 8th. All in all, not the worst turn of events, given how packed up cars were at the beginning. I'm not, no one's ever happy to spin, but it could have been a lot worse. Javier Eugeni was the other car that spun. That one was around Shivlak, which is turn 8. The one at the top of the map as we see it. We got another car, the 333 of Tommaso Buino, off in the Audi S. Didn't look to affect him too much, though. Let's have another look at Max Simmons and Matt Higgs. Looks like Higgs just got by Simmons. So that'll be a load off his chest. A part of me kind of wants to go back and see that replay, but I don't think it'll be as entertaining as I want it to be. Looks like he just forced it into Hugenholz-Bacht and just made it work.
I think Bach just means bend, right?
Yeah, it just means turn.
Ah, skip that part. Hugenholst.
Yeah, Hugenholtz.
Marlboro is another name of a corner, if I remember
Yep.
correctly. Good
Marble
old
Bocht.
cigarette branding.
There's Renault Bocht.
Audi S.
Yeah. This is Germany. We must name the corners. Turn.
No, this is not Germany. This is the Netherlands.
Well,
Okay,
you
these
would think
guys
it
are
would be Germany.
orange and they're English. They're like English German, aren't they?
Yeah,
So
but I mean,
Higgs is on the outside and he's looking in, but he can't see through that BMW. That's a Stained reference for any of you people that hate yourselves like me. Um, so
wow.
he is not going to be in a good position, and it is all but over for him getting any bonus points from this race. And he's going to be starting fairly far back in the pack. Now, the only silver lining is he did make it past the the Rex of Simmons, which I'm sure if he was starting behind that car during the race, he would be going bonkers.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you saw the trouble that he had just getting around him in this pre-qualifying or in this qualifying race. Let's move up Wesley Stokes doing battle with, I believe that's Dominic Turcotte
Turcotte's off in the
and Sean Kenny as
grass,
well.
and Kenny as
So
well. It's
they they
strange.
they both just went wide. I was watching on my other monitor and Kenny went off, and it looked like Turcotte did the same thing. So a couple free points for Wesley Stokes. Why not? He's
I mean, you
recovering
know
well.
what? It's a little bit of luck shining his way because he had the unfortunate the unfortunate spin around from the lap car that was trying to let him by of DeLuca. I believe that was DeLuca, and so it worked out in such a way that now he's only lost 2 positions. He was in 4th, he's in 6th,
Hmm.
he was as low as 9th. So, you know what? I think he's gonna take those. Thank you very much. I'll take
Yep.
those. And
You'd
he's
be a
gonna take
fool
that to the
not to.
bank. Uh-huh. And with 6 minutes left, he is closing on Gianmarco
Silvestri.
Silvestri.
Hmm.
And oh, it looks like we have a car off. We have the 16
That.
of Bilotti off in the Audi S.
Uh-oh.
And looks like that is the BMW. Ooh, he runs it wide into the corner. He was scared to come down on that BMW. Luckily, the race is almost over, so it's not the worst thing in the world for him. But definitely not ideal. Not
No, not at
ideal.
all. And the Aston Martin being a very front-heavy car compared to the rest of the field, and then also a speed demon on the straights, is gonna struggle in this track.
Yes.
There's it. Am I correct in my assumption that it doesn't rotate very well?
Um, it doesn't. No, it's a car. It likes to do one thing, and that's go fast. It has a very
Breach.
unique situation with the rear diffuser. We'll just say it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're
Um,
looking at one right now, and it's pretty barren.
yeah, it's a very unique car. It drives a very unique way. It's got one of the most massive wings in the field on the rear of the car to try to keep it together. And personally, I love the way it drives, even though it's a love hate kind of thing. But it's definitely one of those cars that you can get behind it and you can wheelman it and you can make magic happen. It wants to be raced. You have to get it in a position where you can make it hard to pass, and all of a sudden it becomes a top car in the field. But as far as playing catch up, not so much.
Oh
Not
no.
so much. It's not a hot lap car. It needs to be in a pack, and it needs to be dicing it up with people, making moves, putting pressure on people, getting a nose in there here or there to disrupt the guy ahead of him, so that he can open up an opportunity. Which it looks like he might be doing because these McLarens are just struggling here today, which is not what I thought would have happened. I thought the McLarens would have been having a field day on this track with all that downforce.
Yeah, they're very planted.
Well, yeah, they can be when they're able to run the wing. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm very surprised that they're not running massive wing. And it looks like a dive up the inside by one of the Boots and Ginion cars ahead of the battle of the Aston Martin and the who's that? Nagase and Stevenson. Stevenson gets turned by no, not Nagase, Rachel Guerin. Ooh, she is a feisty one. We're gonna have to go back and have race control take a look at that.
The number 69 is around. That's Stevenson. You mentioned that. So there's a ton of battles forming at the last second. Dave Jones versus Dave Nelson. We just almost had a collision there at the end of Gerlach, and that's turn 2. And Nelson was almost able to throw it up the inside, and as they're coming up, as they went through, excuse me, Marlboro. but it wasn't able to get it done. Baker and Stambuk behind are now battling such that it's substantially slowing them. It's potential that Higgs could also grab a position from them. Oh, Higgs got by Stambuk. Looks like Stambuk might have made a mistake. So, yep, that's it. Higgs is now in the fray. And then behind, we see Garen Nagase and Barker. This is heating up at the last second. That's not something I expected. So now it's a question: how does Higgs handle dealing with Baker? He's not going to be able. There's only 3 minutes left. He's not going to be able to make too much room on Nelson and Jones. He's pretty much relegated to 13th at the very best, and short of a mistake, I should say. And the question is, excuse me, how do they want to manage that? Because Higgs has proven, we've seen him in the past get very, very aggressive. Bathurst was a great example. And Rachel Garen with a drive-through penalty, was that Stewart ordered
Yes, yes.
because of the contact with Bellotti or Stevenson?
Stevenson, yes.
So I'm betting that as much as he wants to push, he's gonna have to back off. There's only perhaps 2 and change laps. Let's have a brief little look-see up at the front runners. Alberto Javier Castaño Munoz still holding out. Burke is only trailing farther behind, and Archie is over 10 seconds, so not much to mention there. Although Nelson has caught immediately back up to Jones.
Nelson's got some pace this week, and Jones hasn't been a stranger either.
So yeah, so Nelson just got done winning the finale of the ACC Academy at Laguna Seca. We just got done doing that broadcast. Just basically drove away from everyone. So
Yes,
Baker
sir. He
is
was one of the
seeding.
returning drivers that was coming in to finish out the season with the rest of the new recruits, give him some people
Mhm.
to rub shoulders with. But a lot of the new recruits, like Christopher Stevenson, decided to move up early and abandon the final few races, which is okay. He's
Yeah,
shown that he has what it takes. He's got some top 10 finishes here. Sixth place, I think, is his best finish at ESR in a main series.
it checks out. So Barker, Rachel Guerin dove for the drive-through. So that leaves Barker to battle with Nagase, being very racy in spite of the fact that Aston Martin and the BMW behind shouldn't be that competitive with the McLaren ahead, at least in this section.
Looks like I have some readings that there might have been some previous contact between Rachel and where is he? I can't find him on this thing. Christopher Stevenson. I'm going to have to go back and investigate a few laps prior to that and see what I can find. Yeah, looks like Stevenson's in the wall here. That was this lap, right? That was at that mark. Yep. So maybe let's go back a bit. See if there was some bad blood between these drivers. We're going to do some investigation.
And Wesley
Oh,
Stokes
there's some bad
at the
blood.
timing gate passes Gianmarco Silvestri, gathers up 5th place. Looks like that number 18 or number 97 of John Barker is suffering some front end damage. Kind of curious as to where that came from. Max Simmons off right in front. Number 6, the 16th place Rex is off on the last, well, no, second to last lap. No white flags are waving, so. And John Barker with a great pass on the inside of Shoei Nagase. And Max Simmons towed to the pits. There are 3 wide into turn 1. The BMW goes to the inside. Brandon Stambuk. Oh, a contact. Shoei Nagase punted into the gravel. Harzenbach claims another. Let's have a look at that replay real quick. What? Yeah, here they are 3 wide. Yeah, I would call that on the BMW.
Yeah, looks like he had quite a run on him. shot it up the inside, and they went 3 wide into turn 1. Doesn't work that well. Audi, or not, excuse me, not the Audi. Aston managed to do what he had to do, but BMW just outbrakes himself and punts the car through. So that car will be facing a grid penalty as the race is over. If race control was to give him a drive through now, it would actually probably glitch the race.
And and as we come up to the line, the battle between Jones and Nelson is heated up to freaking surface of the sun levels. Higgs and Nelson's gonna try on the inside, and it's not gonna happen. Jones secures 10th place. David Nelson 11th. Matt Higgs in 12th. So that was really racy at the last second. I was surprised they got through. They got through the S's as well as they did. Watching that on my secondary screen.
Is the racing? Did every car cross the line?
Yes. So, well, no, not every car right now. Sorry, I thought you meant in that group. We currently have Eugenie, Guerin, McLaughlin, Stevenson, Simmons, Bellotti, DeLuca. Although a lot of those are in the pits, so this is Guerin and McLaughlin as far as I can see. Guerin's across.
Okay.
And McLaughlin's across.
Alrighty. Well, I will leave you to do our pre-main race festivities. I have to go do what I have to do and get things set, and I will see you on the other side, brother.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Captain. Enjoy. All right, so that is our qualifying order. Let us just have a quick look. We won't have a ton of time because the nature of this session. But here's our current qualifying order. We have Albert Arjona, Javier Castaño Munoz first and second, Andrew Burke holding off third, not able to get too much out of that. John Archie sneaking into fourth. Wesley Stokes on a great recovery to fifth. Gianmarco Silvestri holding on to sixth. Dominic Turcotte following behind Sean Kenny, getting a run on Carlo Durazio, securing eighth and from ninth. David Jones and Dave Nelson falling 11th and 12th. And Matt Higgs will be somewhat of an underdog. He made his way up from 23rd, but he'll still have a challenge when the race actually occurs. So while we start to set up the race, let us get a track preview from our in-house correspondent, the illustrious Matt Higgs.
Welcome to a lap at Zandvoort. Here we go, coming around the final turn onto the straight. Alright, flat out, should be up to fifth. Brake just before the white line. Brake. Trail brake in, down to second or first, depending on how you feel. Power on early. Here's turn 2. Brake there. Wait to get on the throttle until you get over the rise. Don't hit the inside curb. Brake. Beep. You can carry more speed than you think you can around here. Try not to ground out the gears much, not to use TC too much. Flat out all the way up to the top of fifth. Brake about the top of the rise. You can kind of trail brake down the hill. It's kind of interesting there. Get on the throttle nice and early. Brake just after you go that line. Cut the curb nicely. Wait to get on the gas and then brake. Can't really see anything from this view, but that's alright. We'll make do. Alright, brake about there. Trail brake into that corner. Get on the throttle nice and early. Alright, here comes the ODS. Just brake there. Can't cut the inside curb, you just bounce wide. Alright, get on the throttle nice and early. Brake but there. Cut the inside curb. And final corner should be almost flat out. And that's a lap of Zandvoort. Could have been better, but that's just his fault.
All right, right, very excellent lap overview, Mr. Higgs. That was very excellent. I like the little dig at Justin at the last second there. So yes, this is a very corner-focused track. Not a lot of room to get by on straights, which is why Matt Higgs struggled so hard with getting past Max Simmons. And it's also a very thin track in comparison to others. Caused some controversy in the past. There was a smidge of controversy over including it into this season, but this is a replica season, so there was not much choice to be made there. Our drivers do well to navigate it though, and it's a very enjoyable track. Certainly great for hot lapping as well. They do track days all the time here. As we get the final touches put on this server migration here, so we can get into the fray. Let us have a quick look at some championship standings. There we go. So let's have a look at the pro standings. This is our platinum and gold driver composed teams. This is for the overall championship. Now, this is not necessarily for the overall teams. They are separate. So we have Team WRT Belgian Audi Club with Brandon Baker, Matt Higgs, and Sean Kenny currently leading the charge 343 with a very convincing lead. Following after that is Team EBM AXRT with Albert Ahona, Wesley Stokes, and Javier Castaño Munoz in those Porsches. So they are going to be ones to watch. Both of those teams did very well in the qualifying race, but there's no denying the force of AXRT as they got first, second, and fifth. That'll be a battle to watch. Falkenhurst Motorsport with Javier Eugeni and John Aldian picking up a position, 155. They traded spots with Hub Auto Corsa, Element of Speed below them. They're still within 10 points, though. So Javier Eugeni and John Aldian will have to battle still, especially with Eugeni faltering to 17th in that position. John Aldian doing a little better, 13th. Meanwhile, Carlo Durazio and Gianluca Deluca in the Ferraris would stand to do better if Deluca didn't get slapped with those penalties. It'll be interesting to watch that trade out. Barwell Motorsports is Jean Archie, Larry Foster, and David Nelson currently sitting in fifth place in the pro standings. They also stand to do fairly well. David Nelson qualifying 10th, and John Archie in fourth. Unfortunately, Larry Foster is not in this race. The driver championships, we have this is just pro, so platinum and gold. Matt Higgs leading the charge with 201. Andrew Burke behind him with 174. Javier Castaño Munoz with 141. Dominic Turcotte 111, and Alexandria Jeff with in fifth with 94. As before, we've only seen some movement in the bottom of the championship. Sean Kenny picking up 3 spots. John Archie with 4. Max Simmons jumping 2. This is from Gianluca DeLuca, who lost 1. Rachel Guerin, who lost 3. And Brandon Stambuk, who lost a colossal 5. So he's going to be on a recovery drive for this next chunk of the season. Brandon Baker picks up 2, and Dave Nelson loses 2. So they essentially traded spots. Now for the AM standings, Pro Am, we have AF Corsa, Spirit of Race with Dave Jones, Andrew Burke, and Jean-Marco Silvestri with 223. Boutzen Guinian picking up a spot, 214, vaulting our motorsports. So Chris Stevenson, Brandon Stenbook, and Max Simmons with the BMW Rex team. Arthur Belodi and Inu Lugoshi losing that spot, although they're still within 3 points, so there's hardly a difference between them. We also have Garage 59 Racing with Josh McLaughlin, Shoei Nagase, and Rachel Guerin with 165. Team Straka Racing in fifth with Rob Stewart, Alex Shine, and Dominic Turcotte with 130. They're going to be on a recovery drive for this race as well. They're with Turcotte, and I don't believe Shine is in this race currently. So it's going to be basically just Turcotte holding the torch here. Team Parker Racing in sixth with John Butler and Cliff Hemian, 63 points, and Rinaldi Racing with Paul Hoppa and Tommaso Biino. This driver championship is split by rank, so we have the gold drivers, Arthur Belodi currently holding in first, Chris Stevenson in second, Tommaso Biino in third, Alex Shine picking up a spot from Shoei Nagase, who lost 1, and David Jones likewise losing 2 to back to be on 6. We have P. Spencer joining us for the first time in the last race, picking up 6 points. Matt Howell, Frank Klein, and Rob Stewart yet to appear. John Barker leading the current Platinum Championship. Oh, sorry, not platinum. So that was bronze. Apologies, I don't know where it happened. That was bronze. The silver drivers, John Barker currently leading the charge, picking up a spot. Josh McLaughlin, likewise. Inu Lugoshi unable to return, still suffering the mechanical issues with his car, and so that is going to be, until he can fix that. That will be difficult to recover from. We also had some other movement, but unfortunately moved out of the range. We'll take another quick look at that later once it becomes more relevant. But there has been some movement, and it'll be interesting to keep an eye on what's going on. As you can see, Carlo Durazio in 4th. No movement there. Jean Aldian picking up a spot with 65. Jean-Marco Silvestri in 6th with 40. James Butler in 7th, picking up a spot with 39. And Cliff Ian picking up 2 with 24. Larry Foster still yet to gain points, but has participated. At least Paul Hoppa and Kimo Sith yet to appear. Qualifying order. Oh, it's a little small. We'll be able to show you that periodically throughout the race. Let's make that a little bigger for y'all. There you go. All right, so that is our qualifying order. I already mentioned that, so we don't need to go over that again, but that will be reappearing periodically throughout the race. We're currently in our warm-up session for the actual race. Qualifying already took place, as you saw. Let's have another look real quick at the conditions of this race. Currently, as Justin predicted, it has gotten darker. Not necessarily cooler though. Track temperature up to 16, or the air temperature up to 16. Track temperature up to 22. Pretty firm clouds holding in the time on the distance. We got heavy clouds right now, and for the forecasted 30 minutes. Track is greasy, so it's implied that there's been some rain in the past. Wind is not really a factor in this case. It'll be interesting to see how this evolves throughout the race. A quick overview of our format just to make sure that everyone knows what's going on. So we have a 1-hour race beginning shortly, hopefully, with a mandatory pit stop in the center. So a 10-minute window centered on the 35 to 25 minutes. And with a required tire change. Fuel is not required to be added, but it is generally a sound idea as it is a minimal extra penalty, shall we say. Let's have a look at some of our drivers who are currently making their rounds. Rachel Guerin currently sitting in 3rd in this practice session. Now, it should be noted that these results are essentially meaningless. This is a practice session, as I said, so this has no bearing on what is going on in the actual race. It's simply a warm-up. And a quirk of the system we have to put in place in order to get an accurate replica of the Blancpain 2016 series to work. So a brief overview of the way the cars stand. We already made a brief mention of this earlier, but it's not. But it was worth diving into a little more. As Zandvoort is a very curvy and narrow track, there will be struggles from cars that traditionally excel in a straight line. As you can see, the only real straight line to be seen is the main straight, which doesn't have a name, unfortunately. We can make that a little larger to show it to you. There it is. So track Zandvoort. Traditionally, cars that struggle in straight line will do well here, at least if they're able to make up for it. And it looks like we lost connection to server. That might be this changeover. But as I'm doing this changeover, we can get reacclimated. So cars like the Porsche and the Ferrari will excel. Audi will do all right. The Lamborghini may struggle a little bit just because it doesn't have that rotation that the Audi does. The Oh, we lost our interface. That is no problem. There we go. All right, all right. Okay, so we are more or less back. So cars like the McLaren will also do pretty well here. Unfortunately, the McLaren is even more lacking in straight line speed than the likes of Ferrari and Porsche, so they will struggle harder, perhaps even than them. Josh McLaughlin's Troy Nagase and Rachel Guerin, the only ones championing the McLaren cause at the moment. That leads us to the more straight line speed focused cars, the likes of Aston Martin V12 Vantage, uh, BMW M6. I want to say Benjamin M6 for some reason, and of course the Rex, the Ryder Engineering Rex, championed by Max Simmons currently. They will very struggle. The only way they'll be able to make extra headway, and we see rain coming in. So with this changeover, we've brought with us some rain droplets. That is an interesting plot twist, I must say. So we saw last time at Imola, the second rain emerges, stuff changes. Now, it emerged, at least currently, before the race took place. So if we have another round changeover from practice into race, you can even see Jean Aldian getting really sketchy as they go through Marlborough blocked. And we'll have to see how that affects the drivers. Initially, my personal anecdote is that it makes it basically impossible to pass someone unless they spin, which is more common in the rainy conditions. But it'll be something to watch. Unlike Imola last time, where we didn't have rain until about 15 minutes left to go, this one looks like it's going to be already pretty rainy. Track is greasy and the temperature is falling as we speak. So maybe those theories about it being rainy are coming true as per Justin Swan's theorizing. As a result of that rain, it's becoming even more crucial to get on track. We've seen an abnormally high turnout of people just driving around in practice. Normally, most of them would just stay put. But seeing the rain come out, and it looks like it's going to get wetter as the session goes on. Oh, sorry, no, it gets less wet. You can see if you can see in the upper right hand corner where the weather readout, there's a little minus next to it. So it's going to be decreasing in rain. However, the rain will still be falling, so the water on track will still be increasing. It looks like we all have all 23 drivers in the session. And even in practice, we can get a look at the struggles that some of these drivers are having to having to overcome. That might put particular emphasis on the straight line speed cars, allowing them to get up to speed faster. Now, that said, they will have necessarily lower downforce. Oh, with John Aldian again. Fortunately, there will be ample time to repair the car in preparation for the race. So this rain might end up being an equalizer. It's possible. If the drivers of the faster straight line speed cars can wrangle it, it's possible that the advantage afforded by the aero and the suspension improvements in the more curve oriented cars could tip the tables in the straight line speed cars' favor. Probably not enough to make them actually worthwhile. But right now, Brandon Stenbook in this practice session, his fastest time is fifth, and Rachel Guerin's sitting a nice time in her McLaren. Now, a quick note: this is not the apologies. This is not the new revised version of Zandvoort, as you can probably notice. In last year for F1, the track was given a makeover, and a lot of people were worried that they would should I say sandblast it, turn it into a more boring track. But they've kept most of the character. But they did add a lot of runoffs that were not, as you can see on the camera now, gravel, grass. They replaced them, a lot of them with tarmac. And they also increased some of the camber on some of the corners. So this is the pre-2020 layout. You can't see it, but we are getting some feedback from the drivers. Or I shouldn't say feedback, but conversation between them, saying, "How do we deal with the weather in this current situation?" Masabino asks, "With this weather forecast, what would you start with for the race?" Matt Higgs says, "Dries, but with higher tire pressures." So that points to the fact that they anticipate the rain to be decreasing, and the track is not particularly wet. It is greasy. So if you plan for that kind of occurrence, then it is possible it could work out in your favor. However, if this is going to be an hour race, so if it changes, it could be problems, especially when the forecast essentially ends at the midpoint. So if that changes, your strategy might have to change pretty dramatically. We'll have to see though.
And I am back.
Welcome back, sire.
Little bit of controversy in between the races. We had some drivers filing a protest about an incident that was missed. Apparently, we all missed it, completely missed. There was an accident with the Aston Martin, the number 97 of Mr. Barker, rear-ending Rachel Guerin into turn 1. Somehow we missed that on our replays and our incident control panel. So we went ahead. We reviewed the incident prior to setting the grid, and absolutely, it definitely was something that deserved a penalty. So Barker will be facing a grid penalty to go to the rear of the field. Xavier Eugeni was served a what would have been a drive-through penalty, but it was the last lap, so he was served a grid penalty. Some of the fans at home were a little critical of that, but it's the call on the field, and whether for better or worse, like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, any sport, it was you go with the call on the field, and we're gonna roll with it. It's unfortunate, but Eugenie is a very resilient driver, and he doesn't make many mistakes, so I think he'll work out fine. In fact, it might be a blessing in disguise here, especially with the track conditions. We're looking at a greasy track. It's a fine misting out right now.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
and it's looking to fade away.
one thing I was noting was that, or I was going to note rather, that getting out, getting away from the action, at least in turn one, especially on a greasy track like this, could end up being beneficial. Obviously, the preferred way to do that is to be first or second and then just run away. But it's not that easy. Something that might, if you have to get sent back, it might be a silver lining to say, well, at least I can manage the initial chunk of the race a little better. Maybe not get involved in all the kerfuffle, damage potentially, getting penalties, things like that. And it's not unheard of to see people jump, many positions, just by virtue of, I mean, even in the last race, Max Simmons, Matt Higgs, um, or no slouches, to be sure. They're not bad drivers, but they were, Zandvoort's a very difficult to pass track traditionally, and they were allowed pretty good freedom as far as, you know just being able to drive their line and still grab a bunch of positions. I think Higgs grabbed 10, 11. So it could,
One
anything
moment,
could
please
happen.
continue. I'm gonna flick back over to the race chatter channel.
Okay. Busybody Justin Swan doing his best to make sure that everyone gets along. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that. And with something, especially with as many drivers as this, and a track as I won't say complicated, but involved, shall we say, as this, there's gonna be incidents that happen, and making the controversial choice is not anything ever not ever anything anyone wants to do, but it has to happen in order to have order in the court, shall we say. So as we saw in that qualifying race, this real race will be started at the behest of a about third of a lap, maybe a quarter of a lap rolling start. So the drivers will need only to navigate um Kumhobacht and Luyen Digbacht, which will no doubt be nice. Unfortunately, they'll still have to navigate Tarzan and the others, so we'll have to be on board to see what goes on then.
All right, and we are back. It
What's the
looks like
word?
one of our cars didn't grid. Mr. Nagase did not grid.
Showing Nagase not gritting. That is unfortunate.
Please, drivers on the row behind Nagase, drive up to fill his spot. He did not take the grid. Drivers that are in the row where Nagase belongs, please drive forward to take his position in the grid. Fill the gap. Drive forward.
Okay, and so with a little bit of hesitation, there we go. Green flags waving. Green flags waving for round 4. And it's already becoming a mess, as we predicted. Are they able to keep it off each other?
For the most part, yes. Now,
Looks
the
like it.
question is, are they going to make it through this next section? It is extremely tight.
Oh, we
And no,
got
they
Sean
don't.
Kenny getting bumped. Dominic Turcotte also getting bumped and having to rejoin at probably the worst place I could think of.
We've got Big Lino stuck in reverse on the track. It's very unfortunate for Turcotte, and that's a turn 1 incident. So now the yellow Ferrari of Carlo D'Orazio, he knows he's going to be served with a tier 2 penalty, so he's got to make up 10 seconds on any spots that he wants to gain here for the rest of this race. That's
Definitely.
unquestionable.
Well, especially with the scrutiny zone, which we have established to be just essentially Sector 1.
Yes, Sector 1 plus a little bit more. We have an immaculate battle between Aldian and Higgs right now, coming out of I don't know the name of that corner, but going into the Audi S, they were side by side all the way down and around there.
Yeah, I'm seeing. We're watching that right now. It is kicked up. The teammate of Higgs ahead, Sean Kenny, has to be careful what moves he throws on Durazio ahead because it could jeopardize the battle between Higgs and Aldian behind. Looks like Baker is also involved. So we got the entire WRT team within a stone's throw of each other, and they've got to navigate this carefully, not to step on each other's toes.
Yeah, and looking at some of the big winners in lap 1, where the winners and losers of lap 1, Turcotte, unfortunate, had some contact. Kenny managed to get his spot back after getting bumped to the grass. He got really lucky there. He ended up neutral. And I'm going to say another big winner is probably going to be McLaughlin. He gained a few positions on the start. Whoa, as Nelson and Jones
Checks
go
out.
side by side, they touch doors, everything's still copacetic, and they're heading through the second hairpin into the ascent. And that is quite a train of cars. Absolutely beautiful.
It is indeed. There's a lot going on, and it looks like the weather concerns have completely evaporated. No pun intended. Uh, it's just cloudy, fast track, warming back up a little bit. So maybe all that speculation was for naught. It could always
Yeah.
change, but it seems to have cleared up quite nicely.
Yeah, another big winner for lap 1 is Eugenie. He ducked, dove, dived, dodged, ducked,
And,
and
and
dived.
dodged. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, and Dave Jones goes around. He is out around in turn 10, it would appear. Turn 11 actually. That's unfortunate. He was showing some startling pace here. It looks like the car is in good condition though, so nothing that he can't fix.
Still got a lot of racing left.
Absolutely. And Big Lino, another one of our guys, he had an accident. He was facing the wrong way on the track on lap 1. He had gotten spun around somehow, and unfortunate for him. But believe it or not, that's kind of how his race at Imola went. And overall, he just kept chugging and churning, and he pulled out a bonus point, believe it or not, for being the most consistent driver on the track despite the rain. Go figure.
Wow, that's impressive, especially with the varied conditions we had.
And Kenny lets Higgs by in Tarzan. He knows Higgs is a faster driver at this track. Traditionally Higgs usually is quicker on ACC, and so he's going to give him the go ahead. And it looks like he's going to play blocker man, a little bit of Ferrari style team orders here.
Yeah, well, Higgs has won several races and has had opportunities to win more, so it seems like kind of a no-brainer that Kenny would let Higgs by. Now he's just basically letting the chain chomp off the chain and go get him, boy, stick him.
I don't know how this happened, but Barker, who had a grid penalty, he started last, is in 12th place.
Yeah, must have had a great first couple of sectors. Certainly
Yeah, he
paying
got
off
around
for
all
him.
the BS apparently. We'll have to, hopefully when it all goes back and we look at it, he didn't do anything untoward in any yellow flag zones. Hopefully drivers are ready to protest those things should it come up.
Well, that's what the system's for. And
Absolutely.
it seemed like we were all pretty clean for the most part, but you never know. When it gets to be a cluster like that, anything could happen.
Yeah, and looking at our top 11, we've got a fairly decent pack from 1st to 11th. A bit of a spread on our top 3, which you normally see here. Those cars get clean air early on; they break free. The amazing duo really of Arjona and Castano, Muniz just letting each other go. I see a yellow zone. Oh no!
That's a
The
35.
McLarens get into each other, and
Yeah.
so doesn't the BMW of Xavier Jenny. He pulls off in the sand, lets one of them go by. Biglino on the inside, and he lets Biglino go as well. Looks like he's not having a great race out there, and that's very unfortunate because he usually is one of our cleaner drivers.
Yeah, it
Now he's
does
showing
happen
up as a
though.
slow white flag car. Looks like he's going to be taking himself to the No, I
Rachel
think he was just trying
Guerin.
to be a sportsman and give Josh McLaughlin the position back. Unfortunately, that took out Josh and Rachel Guerin, who are both having phenomenal starts. They started uh, 17th and 19th respectively.
Mhm.
17th and 18th respectively. They worked their way up to 12th and 12th and 13th, I believe, when that accident took place. Rachel decides to dive into the pits and get her damage fixed, and we'll see what happens with Josh McLaughlin. Um, Back to you at the booth.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for covering. I actually, we were having some technical difficulties. The tool that we use to manage all the cameras and stuff had exploded a little bit, and so was having to manage that a little bit by hand and dealing with having less information. But it is back, at least in theory. Famous last words, right?
Oh yeah. So now from fifth place back, starting at 88 with Gianmarco Silvestri, we've got a nice clumping all the way back to the 22 car. That's the 11th place car of Brandon Baker. It looks like Aldian's getting racy here, showing his nose to Kenny. Thinks better of it. That would have been a deep late dive, and I don't know if the BMW's got the brakes for it.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, like we said, there are very minimal places where you can actually conceivably make a move here, unfortunately, without the opponent making a pretty tremendous mistake. So
Yeah, I
you
mean,
kind of got to play the hand you're dealt.
yeah, you can. It's unfortunate that that we well, we're in 2016, so the track hasn't been updated yet. But with the new Indy style final corner, these cars, the final straightaway actually starts 2 corners back now because it's all
Yeah,
perfectly flat out. So they really, by doing that, they kind of artificially extended the straightaway in a really genius way. And so because of that, the ability to get a draft and make a pass going into the break zone of turn one is dramatically improved in modern times.
yeah,
Though for this track you can still make it work, but you get a little bit of aero wash because there's not enough banking coming out of that final corner, and you could be in a position where you just don't fare too
Whoa!
well.
Team on team at violence. Brandon Baker jumps John Aldi and punches Sean Kenny in the Audi S. And John Aldian actually ends up the better of it, gains the position. There's not too much problems, at least from a position standpoint. But Kenny has to be throwing up his hands and going, "What are you doing, man?" It looks like he just outbroke himself a little bit on while trying to set up a dive.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Durazio ahead is having to deal with Higgs, who gives him a little bit of a wiggle in the flash of the lights. Let him know, hey buddy, I'm here. I'm coming for you.
yeah,
He said
and
before, those
remember,
Ferraris are
Durazio
very
is
strong.
yes. Yes. And Carlo Durazio, remember at that turn one contact or lap one contact, he's almost certainly sitting on a 10-second tier two penalty here. Which we have to do the math. He might be one of the drivers that falls into the probation range for having over 3.5 incidence points per
Per
race, in which
race, yeah.
case the penalty would be doubled. We'll have to take a look at that and see how that goes. In which case, I won't say his race is over because these fields tend to get a bit spread out, but he's got a lot to do considering the kind of pace he has, and I'm sure he's hoping for a big break in the pack behind him so that he can secure those positions. He'd hate to lose 10 spots. No,
Oh yes. Well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
keep your
And
nose clean.
we all try to be as clean and as precise as possible. But it's easy to say when I'm sitting here in my nice, comfy, quasi air conditioned booth, and they're in their 130-degree race cars. So as someone who's been in that
Yeah.
position before, I know how crazy it can be.
Well, speaking
Wrong
of
place, wrong time can come into it too.
130-degree race cars, look at the heat that Nelson is putting on the back of Barker. Now, Barker, I don't know how this man seems to do it in this car. Okay,
That
because
Aston Martin.
every single week, he's somehow scraping at the top 10. And Bilotti usually is too, but Bilotti had I think Bilotti got into an accident at the start. I think going long, I'm gonna say it again. I think Bilotti and Barker are somehow gonna squeak into the top 10 together. I think it's gonna happen.
Well,
I
they did
think,
it last race pretty effectively.
yeah.
So we'll have to see. I mean, fingers crossed. Blotty's got some work to do, but it's not inconceivable that he can make an intelligent pit stop and grab a couple of seconds at least. Gianluca De Luca diving to the pits as well. Not
Yeah,
entirely
he
sure
had a
what's
little
going on
bit of
there.
a little bit of damage, and I think he just thought better of it and said, "I'm gonna get in the pits and I'm gonna get this fixed." Hopefully, it's not a retirement, but it very well might be. He's had a really frustrating weekend here, um, with the qualifying race as well as this one. So hopefully, he makes it out of the pits and all goes well. If it's a retire, it looks like the car. Yeah, no, something changed. Do you think maybe he started on rain tires? It seemed like he did a quick tire
It's
change.
possible. Well, the drivers are talking in the chat. Dave Nelson capitalizing on a mistake that John Barker makes in Marlboro. Can he hold
Yeah.
it? Yep, he can. That's gonna be it.
And
Although,
now, the question is he going to get enough of a gap that he doesn't get hawked down the front straightaway? Because it's definitely a possibility.
well, they've got the S's and the final couple of corners to go.
Ooh,
If he
gets a little
doesn't
tail
screw
happy in
it
the
up,
S's.
I think it'd be pretty easy.
Looks like he got him under braking. Even that little tank slapper seemed to actually help him get the car turned a bit.
Yeah. Well,
So
the
it looks like he's
Lamborghini
going to
is no
break free.
stranger. Lamborghini is no stranger to turning a lot. Not as much as the Audi, perhaps, but still very proficient in
Absolutely.
rotation.
And that gap is just going to be insurmountable. He's going to run away with it now. So we're going
Yep.
to see another major break in the field. Looks like Barker is going to have to deal with being lucky
Behind
number
Josh,
13.
behind Josh McLaughlin, under fire from Chris Stevenson, dives into Tarzan. He gets
And
forced wide. That's going to be it, unless he can go through the next couple of corners. Nope. They're very careful. That's a scary situation, but it ended up working out. Now Brandon Stenbeck actually had a little bit of a run on McLaughlin. Nope, it's not going to result in anything. Think about it, this is actually fantastic for Brandon because Stevenson ahead is now essentially forcing McLaughlin to be slow like him. So when the BMW behind has the advantage of being the same speed as the BMW in front, and also the McLaren that's being held up by the BMW in front, he can maybe also make a pretty easy move on McLaughlin if they're able to hold it off until the next finish line, the next straight.
I guarantee you right now, I know the Boots and Ginion team is well coordinated. And Josh gets a little bit loose coming out of the
It might
I
happen even
believe that's the
sooner.
Audi S or going into the Audi
Going
S,
into the Audi S,
and
yeah.
wow,
What
he
that was
almost
a
clipped the rear. That was a
close.
tight move.
He's on the inside, but that's not great for the next corner in the Audi S. And yep, that's gonna be it. A masterful move, capitalizing on the opponent's mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And in the background, we see Arthur Bellotti. Oh, whoa! We have action between Aldian, Baker, and Durazio at turn 1. I just caught that on my other monitor, and it's not switching. Okay.
And Carlo is off in the sand trap here. The number 44 goes by, or
Let's get a
44
let's get a
2.
replay of that.
Yeah, he gets it righted and he's going the right direction. Pit window has another 10, 11 minutes to go here. Have
Okay,
5 laps
it
at
didn't
least, maybe
compute.
6.
Okay, well we don't get replays. That's all right.
That's okay. I'll give you the play-by-play. We're all right. We
Oh
make it
no,
work out
we
here.
are back. Okay, this is a replay. So yeah, we see Aldian. No, Durazio. That's Durazio. Durazio broke unexpectedly. Aldian punts him, spins him out. Looks like Baker actually didn't get harmed at all. It just appeared that way. Not sure what happened there. I would call that on Aldian, but it was a really bizarre move Durazio was making as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna see some after race protesting with the stewards and wanting that looked at to see if there should be a time penalty assigned for any contact during the race. And we're more than happy to oblige here at ESR.
So meanwhile, Josh McLaughlin still under tremendous pressure. Dominic Turcotte right up his crev, trying to just find a way around. The Mercedes is probably a smidge stronger than the McLaren, but not much. He's gonna have to find a way around. But meanwhile, he's got Arthur Bellotti and Dave Jones behind, all wanting a piece of that pie. The pie being 16th place. It's a weird looking pie.
Well, Rachel Guerin here is looking to make up some time. She's got to fight back and gain some laps, and I know she's faster than these cars ahead of her. So there's a chance that she works to unlap herself here and maybe works as like a disruptor, we'll say. It's totally legal to gain your laps back, and especially if you're the faster car. So we might see a situation where if she's able to push her way through this field, she might be able to afford Josh a buffer.
It's
Now
possible that.
no, go ahead.
Well, didn't really have much to say. I was basically going to say it's possible, and that if there's any disruption she could do, it would be pretty helpful. What being a few laps back, and then also the McLarens have not had a Crush 59 has not had a very good last few races. So if they can pull any rabbits out of the hat, anytime, they would be appreciated. I have no doubt.
Higgs is within about a quarter of a second of Silvestri here and charging hard. Silvestri doing all he can to hold on to 6th place. He was in 5th place, and looks like Wesley Stokes walked him down. He's stoking the flame. And
Nice.
yeah, oh yeah. We've got a few more nicknames we still got to go out, and find here. We had a couple good ones last time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Need
Oh
to
yeah.
keep them coming. Need to keep them coming.
Well, I'll do my best. I have 2 brain cells, so I can't keep track of stuff, but
Ah,
I'll do my best.
that's all right. Got some fun ones out here. Oh.
So yes, there's right now he's not had a bad race at all. I mean, if anyone could have done something like this, it's probably Matt Higgs. Made his way up from 12th to 7th,
Yes.
and right now he's currently trying to see if he can bring up his other teammates, Brandon Baker, Sean Kenny, behind, up with him to continue their dominance. Now AXRT has been catching up the last couple of races just by virtue of uber consistency, with the exception of a couple of penalties here and there. But
Yeah. Yeah.
will they be able to hold it off? They're on kind of a race here. Like if we pop open these standings and we take a look, see, they are almost 140 points out.
Yes.
But it doesn't take a whole lot, especially with Spa being the next,
Yes.
the
That's double
double
points.
pointer.
Yes. If you
Double
do
length
a
of
full
points.
sweep in 1st place, with maximum bonus points, you could walk away with 114 points. So, as crazy as it sounds,
And that's
and
one driver.
Silvestri puts a wheel
So,
off, he doesn't lose
yep.
the control or anything, but Matt Higgs slides up inside, and he's just going to walk away with that. Now he's going to try to hawk down Wesley. But to go back to what we were saying, now that Race is broken down, actually, we could take a look over at the car of Bilotti and Dave Jones, as well as Rachel Guerin. She's worked her way through 2 or 3 of them, and she's fighting her way back up to the field, which she's within her right to do.
Yep.
That might be a good section of the track to keep an eye on as we go through these laps. But to go back to my point, if this finish here was at a double points race, Arjona and Castano and Stokes, if they were to finish 1-2 fifth at a race at Spa, if this was to happen at Spa, they would undoubtedly claw back something like 80 points, even, it just boom, instantly.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely possible. And then we still have the finale at Suzuka much later, down in August.
This is another double
Um,
pointer.
another double pointer. So if everything goes well there, it's going to be a barn burner. And I think once Arjona and Castaño, Muniz, find their, gotta put a little seasoning on it. Little
Excellent inflection.
sazon,
Yeah, got to get
yeah,
that
little
those
sazon
tildes, those
completa. You know what I'm
enyes.
saying?
Yeah.
So so
Pico de
anyways,
gallo.
yeah. So anyways, if they're able to keep this kind of consistency up, we'll see what happens. Now remember, Higgs is carrying a little bit of ballast himself, but the king of ballast is Burke. He's got the 20 kilos assigned to the car outright.
And
That's
he has the
just
other.
bog standard. That's not going anywhere.
So he's
And
running
so far,
45 total, right?
he's running 45 total. He's worked his way up to 25 pounds or 25 kilos of success ballast on top of the 20 BOP ballast. And if the race ends right now, he's looking at hitting 50 kilos. He'll get a bonus 5 for finishing 3rd place again. You know, he just refuses to give up. Every time we get the car a little bit, every time that car is pushed to its limits, he pushes it a little bit further. So
Yeah.
some competitors were a little like, hey man, I don't know about this ballast, 15 kilos, I'm not going to be able to keep up. Well, talk to Burke, because Burke is showing you guys how it's done. He's putting on a clinic. Again, if everything ended where it ended today, Castano would be taking up another 15 kilos. That would put him at 25. Arjona would be adding 10 kilos. So we're in a situation now where, they're going to be clawing back points, but they're also going to be getting a bit heavier going into Spa, which isn't the greatest in the world. But if ever there was a track to just carry the weight and the momentum, it's Spa. It's a very
Oh yeah,
high speed track that once the weight's rolling, it's not as bad,
yeah.
the
It's
inertia.
it's harder to feel it definitely. We just saw
Yeah.
Josh McLaughlin go off turn one and cede positions to both Javier Eugeni and Dominic Turcotte. So Eugeni's still on the drive to get back those spots that he lost at the beginning, and he's making a pretty good show of it. He's I
Whoa,
forget where he
Turcotte's
qualified
getting
exactly.
really loose going down into
And
turn
McLaughlin off
7.
again in Marlboro. That's going to cost him some positions. He might actually emerge with Tommaso Bellino, which is a fight he doesn't want to have.
I can tell you right now, we're going to see some crazy moves from Turcotte once he gets this damage fixed in pit lane, because I'm watching his in-car right now, and he is choking that wheel. He's got his chest up into it, his hands, he's white-knuckling that steering wheel, trying to keep this car going the right direction. And so I think once he gets the car fixed, we're going to see him doing some nasty things, and I think he's still within the running. Let me look at his total gap. He's about a minute and 10 seconds back from the leader, but he's only about 30, we'll say 40 seconds back from 10th place. I think it's possible he can make up that 40 seconds in the second half of this race, but it's going to be some doing.
Well, it'll definitely be some work, but we've seen stranger things happen before.
Now here's the
Matt Higgs has
question.
gotten past Gianmarco Silvestri and has put a little bit of gap in between him. Next target is Wesley Stokes. He's got a few seconds to go, but he's still got almost over half the race.
How coordinated do you think AXRT is? I would say they're probably the most coordinated team on the grid,
Well,
right?
I was gonna say they had to be top of the class.
I think so too. Do
Even
you
even
think
thinking back to
Castano
season
and
3 and 2.
Arjona are going to how coordinate? Do you think they're going to try and count laps so that they make sure they each get laps led and that they lock out the rest of the grid from maximizing in case one of them wrecks?
Well,
Like,
given there's only a half second between them though, and they're so remarkably coordinated that I would think they would have to.
they have to.
Because
There's no doubt.
they need to pinch points. Like they said, they have over 100, almost
Yes,
140 points between them and WRT, especially with Matt Higgs leading the charge, clearing the way a little bit for his friends. Baker got by Aldian, um, and the like. They're gonna have to go into maximum overdrive and to try and shut him out.
maximum overdrive.
Al-
Um,
Although I do think it is difficult to consider if so is the lap sled that's per team, right?
no, lap sled is an individual driver bonus, so each driver will get a point for a lap led.
I don't
If
know.
both their drivers get a lap led, then both their drivers get a point. If one of their drivers gets a lap led and they get most laps led, they get 3 points. So they could penny pinch their points here and earn an extra point if they're smart and let one of them each complete a lap in first.
Oh yeah, no, I've no doubt that's such yeah, especially being so close. Burke is over 4 seconds behind. It's almost a no-brainer. Did we see Arjona? I feel like we saw Arjona in first at one point. I'm not entirely
I
sure.
think we did, but I don't know if he completed the lap in first. He might have seeded it on lap 1. Now here's another interesting storyline. Arjona and Castano both have right now they're sharing fastest lap 1 and fastest lap 2. Now only the first one pays out the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap. But that's, Castano is going to get 2 points as it stands right now. From that, he's probably going to get the most laps led and a lap led point. So he's looking at a bonus 6 points. The maximum points that you can gain bonus points from in-race actions are 7. After that, you get cut off, and any other accolades you get just fade into the ether.
Hmm.
So if they really
So if
want
he
to
wants
penny
to
pinch, they
give,
could get yes. Castano, I mean, I'm not sure that this is possible because there's just not enough information at their fingertips. But in theory, our Castano could get fastest lap and 2 fastest sectors. Arjona could get 1 fast sector, so he gets the bonus point for that. They could also get a bonus point for each of them leading a lap, and then the one of them leading 2 laps. And they could basically spread this, and one of them could be most consistent. Uh, which it would have to be Castano, because Arjona would get the bonus point from. Basically, I'm saying they could maximize it so that both of them get 6 or 7 bonus points each, and no one gets any other bonus points.
Yeah, basically shutting out the rest of the field from any sweet bonus point nectar.
I almost
The
just dropped
racing,
an open water bottle into my
I
PC.
I heard that. I'm glad you didn't do that. Gianluca De Luca making a pass on Shoei Nagase into turn one. That I'm kind of curious if Nagase might be having some problems. It doesn't look like they were just struggling to maintain top speed. I'm not totally sure what's going on there. In any case, pit window open. We've passed 35 minutes, so it'll be a 10-minute window. Everyone's required to take tires, and
And we have our
mercifully,
first takers in pit lane. One of them is Wesley Stokes. He dives in the pit lane immediately.
Javier Eugeni is just getting out of the pit lane as well.
Turcotte's
So
in pit lane, and one of the McLarens is in pit lane. I'm not sure who that is.
Gianluca De Luca on the charge, getting past Tommaso Bino without so much as a nod. Looks like he might have bumped Nagase out, metaphorically, not literally, because it caused him to get a little wide, and Nagase might be passing him as well.
Okay, that was Josh McLaughlin pulling into the pits early for his team. Jenny has completed his pit stop, and we've got a few other drivers making their way through the pits now. Who do we have here? We have Carlo Durazio. Dominic Turcotte had an extended pit stop. He had a ton of damage to fix on that car. So let's see what he
Oh
can do
yeah,
here.
I believe it.
So I think with Wesley, interestingly enough, with Wesley pitting when he did, he gave up on any attempt for them to try to sneak him into leading a lap by somehow doing some crazy pit cycle stuff.
Yeah.
Because that would be insane.
That'd be truly like 400 IQ move right there.
Oh yeah.
As
Oh yeah.
as cool as it is to theorize about, what if they totally maxed out everything? I don't see that as being possible. It'd be really cool, but they would not only the coordination because they're coordinated, but I don't think there's just the information available. And plus, they have to do that while they're racing. We don't have team captains and stuff, so that would be kind of something that'd be really cool. And if they do it, it's not impossible. We got the number 7 of who is number 7? I'm not sure who that
That is
is.
Dominic Turcotte pulled off to the side. What might have been the case is he might have sat there to do all that pit lane repairs, and he might have had catastrophic suspension failure. So even with repairing some of his suspension, it just might not be up to snuff.
Hmm, it's possible. Matt Higgs and Brandon Baker are next takers on the pit. Turcotte's sitting there for a long time.
We have a
He's
car stopped at the top of the ascent, left side. Car stopped, top of the ascent, left side. Please be careful.
that is again Turcotte he was referring to. Well, I'm not sure what he's doing because he's just sitting there, and there's been times where he's had plenty of room to get out, but he hasn't just towed back to the pits.
I'm
So
not
I'm
quite
not.
sure what's going on here.
Ooh, there's a battle coming out of the pits. Okay, never mind. It was Brandon Baker versus Matt Higgs, and they were getting a little awkward. They were trying to figure out who goes first, but Baker just let off and said,
I
"You
see his
have it,
brake
man."
lights on. I think his car shut off.
Maybe
Not even
he's having
idling
some
anymore.
technical issues. And
I
Arjona's in
don't
the
know.
pits.
I'm gonna follow this closely and see what goes on. Okay, and he has DC'd. He seems to have left the building. So with that,
Uh-oh.
Turcotte is out.
Oh, terrible news for was it Team Straka?
Yes, Team Straka Racing. Interestingly enough, I don't see Alex anywhere. He competed in the finale
He
of
was in the
the
he was in the
Academy
academy.
race.
Yeah, we talked about that while you were doing the switchover. He was the only member of Straka that's attending this race, and I was kind of surprised that Alex Shine was not involved with this either.
It's a shame. I love to see Alex Shiny Boy Sheen out here. Maybe he wasn't confident with his ability on this track. It can be pretty technical to get it right going down into Marlboro, I believe it is, unless that's the corner after the one I'm thinking of, the downhill right-hander. Maybe he
Oh yeah,
just
that's
thought, you know
Marlboro.
what, I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna let it ride. It's unfortunate because he's a crowd favorite. Everybody loves Alex.
Yep.
He's a great fella. He's a great addition. He's very green, but he's awesome, and we love to have him here. So hopefully that's
Well,
hopefully
from
he isn't a permanent dropout of the series, that'd be a really big shame. I think he's a bright spot for the future of ESR.
Yeah, it would certainly be a shame. Well, I did notice Matt Higgs and I when we were doing the academy this morning, he was particularly struggling, and while he did definitely pick up a couple of positions at the end by virtue of placing sixth in a race where there's only not very many drivers, it can't have been great for his psyche,
Yeah, it
and
might have
maybe
played
he's
on the
not feeling it.
confidence. All right, now we have a McLaren off on the inside of turn 12 here.
That's the number
Albert
64
Arjona
of Josh
splits the two of
McLaughlin.
them. Yeah, he splits that and another blue flag car, which got a little spooked and went a little bit wider. So luckily, Arjona's got clear track ahead of him. So he would have liked to have had this be his track when he got out of the pits originally, because he was a little bit slowed up behind the Ferrari. But I think now that he's got clear sailing for the last 3 minutes of this pit stop window, I think he's going to really nail down some laps, and we'll see what he can do. He's got nothing but clear skies in front of him. So.
That is definitely for sure. Meanwhile,
And
picking off of
Turcotte is
that,
now rejoined. He's got the car back out of the pits.
so at
Or
least,
back into the pits, excuse me.
well, yeah, back in action.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. They pulled the backup car out from the shed.
The shed. I choose to believe that they shipped not only a car but also a shed with a car in it.
Absolutely. It's cheaper that way.
Yeah, you can call it freight that way.
Exactly. All right, so looking at our the way our pits are filing, Rachel Guerin dives in the pit lane. One of our more unlucky competitors on the day. Looks like she's got some damage to her car as well. I'm seeing some scraped up paint. Goes into the pit box. Will say questionably. She's not having a good time.
Yeah.
Chris Stevenson is in pit lane as well. He's 8th place when he made it in. He's going to be losing some positions at 9th. Looking at any second now, he's probably going to come out somewhere around 13th at best. Castano Muniz is in pit lane. Burke stays out one more lap, so Burke is going to get that bonus point.
An interesting decision.
He might not get the bonus point. It depends on where his pit stall is. It fully depends on where his pit stall is.
Oh yeah, he does have to finish basically 2 laps.
If his pit stall is before the start finish line, he will probably get passed by Xavier. Archie stayed out as well. So now the irony here would be that if Archie's pit box is after the start finish line and Burke's is before it, then Archie would get the point for crossing the line in the lead.
What? I hope it gets that close. That'd be a truly anime
Yeah.
episode right there situation.
Absolutely. And you love to see those types of margins. We're talking a fine line. All right, and Aldine is in pit lane now. Aldine is in pit lane. So
he and Stambuk were battling, and then Aldine dove to the inside. He's like, you know what? See you later, dude. We don't need this.
Absolutely. And looking at where Arjona is on the track right now, he came out ahead of Xavier. He nailed his pit stop. He came out ahead of Xavier.
So, Shoei Nagase under heavy fire from Brandon Baker, who's doing battle with, I believe that's Stokes. Mostly Stokes. Yep, it is. So Nagase lets. What happened there? Okay, little
Burke's
glitch. Baker
pit stall is not past the start finish line.
Oh, bummer. So we'll have to see if Archie was it the same. When is Dave Nelson gonna pit?
Archie's pit stall is not past the start finish line.
Oh no. Where is Dave Nelson? He's gonna have to pit.
Dave Nelson is coming into the final corner now. He's got time.
Okay, he's got
to pit this lap.
There he goes.
Now the question is, where is his stall? And does he make it through his stall, through the start finish line before Archie or Burke get off pit lane to pass the start finish line and get the point?
We got the 23 and the 4.
And Burke squeaks it. He gets it.
Wow.
He gets the point.
That's nice.
And there goes the two. He gets the point by the finest of margin. There goes the two Porsches of Arjona and Castano Muniz. You have to wonder if that's the finest of margins. They're coming down the straight. He's riding the limiter all the way down pit lane,
like, come on,
he gets the point. Barely.
Wonder if Arjona could have nailed his pit stop anymore to get out on that.
Well, somehow he came out ahead of Castano after they cycled. So I'm wondering if I mean he did get a little bit held up. There was the incident with the car of McLaughlin, and then he
Mhm.
was also behind the blue flag Ferrari. So there's a chance that maybe he tweaks out enough. But yeah, talk about a fine margin. Burke, the one of the luckiest people on the grid here to sneak that bonus point in.
No kidding. And
So
well, luckily for AXRT guys, min-maxing sure, but they don't have to
locked
worry
out
about Burke too
Higgs.
much. Higgs and Baker and Kenny are the big ones.
Yes. Yes. Now, Burke's team is technically a pro-am team as they have a platinum driver, a silver driver, and a bronze driver of Silvestri and Dave Jones, along with the obvious Burke. Now, Burke's been doing the heavy lifting quite literally as his car is weighed down with oodles of weight. But
It's
when
all that
Silvestri,
rigatoni.
absolutely. Huh? You say you're still full? Are
Yeah.
still hungry? Huh?
Granny. He's been taking too many trips to Granny's house. She keeps feeding him too much.
The only thing I used to know how to say in Italian was "I'm starving," but I don't remember how to say it anymore. Now that I've said
Ah,
it, I'm sure that and by the way, I only know that because of a fantastic skit by the late John Panette, one of my favorite comedians of all time, a Boston local. Made his way. He got big in the '80s and '90s. We ended up in Las Vegas doing nightly shows,
mhm.
and that's where he made his stand. And he was always a real big guy. He was the original Ralphie May, but he was
Oh, really?
clean. Ralphie May was a very
Huh.
dirty, comedian, but John Panette, he made it a point that he was always clean on all of his specials. He would maybe let one S word go, one F word go, but he's very clean. And so it's a real shame that he passed away. Unfortunately, I believe he was only 50 or so.
No.
He passed away. But there are some recordings of him doing shows when he would do the night show at like the 11 or 11 p.m. show where he'd change up the jokes and he'd let him have it. And
Really?
we've got the car of I don't know who that
64. Is that a
is.
McLaren?
That is
Josh
McLaughlin
McLaughlin.
sideways.
Yeah. Ugh. Well,
Baker and
he's really struggled with that. That's Renault, is the turn. He's
and
really
somehow
struggled.
Higgs and Baker both beat Stokes on pits. I believe they beat them on pit lane because now Higgs is fifth and Baker
Oh
is
yeah,
sixth.
look at that.
And Stokes is out here. Well, we've got a car off on the inside of the Audi S. It's Big
Oh,
Lino.
Bigino,
Very, very scary moment, but he gets it righted.
he gets it right. So with Stokes is hard on Baker's tail. I have no doubt that he can make that move work. He's gonna have to pick his moment very carefully.
Yeah, I
But
think Stokes has the pace on
yeah, the
Baker.
the move by Higgs was, I mean, not expected, but not an ultra amazing like coincidence. I'm just amazed how much time he got.
Oh, and there goes Baker. Baker's gonna lose it, and yep,
Yep.
there he goes. There he goes.
Thank you
He's
very
gonna try
much.
to hold it here, but I think that's a losing battle. He's
I
setting
don't
himself
think
up for
so.
failure.
With the multiple S's going on, it's gonna be a stretch.
Yep, and the pointiness, you can see the pointiness of that Porsche and that hairpin. It just
Mhm.
rides the banking on the front wheels. It goes up, it goes down, and it just points and squirts, baby. Points and squirts. Get this thing a job at your local gentleman's club.
Very nice. Where's my mind bleach? So Chris Stevenson and Brandon Stenwick have been all over the place these last few minutes, but they've found themselves out in 15th and 16th. That's substantially lower than I thought I saw them. Weren't they up there near the top 10
Uh,
ish?
no, I think that's about where they are. I think you're getting them confused with Aldi and
Oh,
Eugeni.
you're right.
Eugeni
It
had
was
an
Aldine
accident
and
earlier
Jenny.
in the race. He might even be sitting on a penalty. We'll have to take a look to see. I don't quite remember. I know there's some contact early in the race, but Eugeni and Aldi seem to have a better grasp of this track as the BMW team of Walkenhorst, and so. Of course, now Eugeni's faded back. He had a bad start, and he had to fight his way through the field twice. I think he caught some ground and had to regain it.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Speaking of, we also see the 36 of Jean Aldian spin out in Renault and nose into the wall. It is very damaged. The arrow is basically non-existent anymore.
Well,
Now, the pit lane of Zandvoort is very forgiving. It's pretty short,
it
but
is.
But would that be enough? We've only 20 minutes left, and Aldian's been trying to salvage whatever he can out of this run.
He
Ooh,
has to
even
pit. He has
yeah,
to
I
pit.
actually never mind. He had a really rough run in the last turn. I don't think there's any option.
Yeah, I don't think he can afford to stay out here. Now, the
Yep.
only silver lining here is he was really holding on to that 10th, right? I think he even just got a drive through.
Oh
He
no.
may have gotten a drive through on entry. So the only saving grace is he's a trooper. He'll finish the race and he'll finish outside of the top 10 undoubtedly because of this unscheduled pit stop. And what's going to happen now is he'll get the 5 kilos removed for finishing outside of the top 10. So he was in this weird, awkward position. Do you take the top 10, keep the 5 kilos? It's really not hurting you that much.
Yeah.
But now at least he can look at the silver lining. You got to be a glass half full guy when it comes to auto racing because the glass is always 3/4 of the way empty. So
Yeah.
you gotta, because listen, when you take 3/4 of the way empty, which is 1/4, and you multiply that by half, and you get a fraction, and you Scott Steiner, everybody.
Yep. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot to go wrong. There's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts, both literally and metaphorically. So you gotta roll with the punches, as they say. You gotta take it in your stride and say, okay, you know what, what happened happened. You gotta get over it. And sometimes it ends up working out in your favor. Sometimes it doesn't. It undoubtedly doesn't. But there's only so much you can do.
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. Now I'm looking here at our live timing board. I've got a slightly different spread, a different spread of what you have on screen probably, so I can give you some interesting things because
One real
I've
quick,
got mine spaced out by.
Sean Kenny just making it up on the inside of Gianmarco Silvestri. Wait, that's not
Oh
That's
wow.
Tommaso Sabino. My apologies. Never mind.
Oh, okay. So looking here, the gap from first to fourth place is 22 seconds. The gap to seventh place is 29 and a half. We'll say 29 seconds. The gap to 10th place is over a minute from first place. So the field here is still within reason. We've only got a couple drivers that are beginning their lap down based on pace. And so we're going to see lap traffic become a factor probably on the very last lap. And oh no, is that Josh McLaughlin all the way outside of Renault
The
again?
64. Yep.
He is not having a good time.
He can't figure out that McLaren through Renault. I'm not
No, it's
entirely sure
unfortunate.
what's going on there.
It's almost like he didn't have a tune from, and I'm going to do a little plug here, Sainted's Tune Shops. They're a blessing in disguise. You don't know what you have until it's gone. And why don't you come on down? We'll see if we can't hook you up, get you right, or left, depending on which way your track is facing. You know what I'm
Nice.
saying? And yeah, always. And we'll get you squared up. Now, we're not going to brag here, but we will say that a tune by Sainted has won quite a few races at ESR. It's won Kyalami a couple years in a row now. It's won Bathurst this season. We've seen it get Max several top tens so far, overperforming in that Rex. And I'll tell you, if there's a benchmark for a tune that does its job, it's when you see a Rex in the top 10 anywhere. I don't care where you are. Okay, so come on down to my discount furniture store that I call a tune shop, and we'll hook you up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll be honest. You make a pretty compelling argument. Although when you said tunes at first, I thought you meant like music, and I was like, "This is gonna be interesting." And I was
Oh
like, "Oh
no, no,
yes, of
you're the
course you meant."
musician. You need to.
I pretend.
You got some bangers out here. And you want to talk about bangers? It's going to be the fight between Biglino and McLaughlin. As crazy as that sounds, Biglino is a guy that has tried his absolute hardest. He's a trooper to the 90th order, and I love seeing him on the grid. You know me, I ran
Mhm.
the academy because I love seeing these guys that are just bad luck chucks that just go out there and the strength of your field and the the sum of its numbers and everything, it's like a chain, right? You're as strong as your weakest link, and a lot of times the strongest links are these guys that are coming in and doing their best, and they never see the top 10s, they never see the top 5s. A lot of guys never see victory lane or podium. You know what I mean? I've only got a few
Mhm.
on ESR. It's hard to do. It's not
Oh
easy.
yeah, this
um
competition's fierce.
Absolutely. I've only ever gotten 2 polls. So that being said, you know, I love seeing this, and for him to have a chance to hunt down a driver ahead of him, that is, oh, he makes a mistake. Commentators
Yeah,
curse. That's okay. He'll get him
it's
back.
okay. Little recovery.
You know
Only
what?
gets
It worked
passed
out
by
because he
Shoei
let
Nagase.
he let by a car. I believe he was being blue flagged. At the 10th place car of Dave
Dave
Nelson.
Nelson. Oh, you're talking about Shoei, yeah.
Yeah.
Dave
Well,
Nelson was.
I was talking about Big Lino. It worked out. He let the car by, and Dave Nelson's fighting through this battle for 19th position. We got fights through the whole field, and everybody's allowed to run their race.
What I was gonna say, what might be interesting is if Nelson gets involved with McLaughlin ahead, especially as they come to Renault. I mean, not gonna say anything necessarily, but will be, gets really wide in Marlboro.
And Josh has not had a good time. He's given a wide berth to Nelson. Now those two were former teammates on the 3D series. They ran the Aston
Mhm.
V12 along with me, or V8, while I was in the V12. So that's where my experience in that car comes from. So I think that these guys have a great working relationship on track, and I think we're going to see a little bit of a wide berth and extra courtesy when they do come up to each other under blue flag conditions. So all is well. We also see some teamwork, letting a car by for the McLaren team. Nagase getting by McLaughlin.
But Bellino now is seeking an opportunity, has a looky-loo on the outside of the last corner, trying to sneak by Nagase, take advantage of the disadvantageous position they put themselves in, but it's not going to happen. Not this lap. Still got
Yeah,
plenty of time, lads.
I think in a scenario where you've got infinite hot laps, I definitely think that Nagase and McLaughlin probably have the raw pace advantage. But I think Biglino is way more consistent. I think he's way more comfortable with the car right now. These McLarens have not looked happy out there. They're not a happy cat. They're not having a good time. They're clipping curbs. You see Nagase hit that inside curb there,
Hmm.
and he's just all over the place right now. So he's just not having a good time. I think Biglino gets both of them before the end of this race, as long as he hits his marks and keeps his head down. And I'll tell you, you love to see it. I said it before, I'll say it again. You'll love to see it. Everybody that goes out there and puts in the time to show up every week deserves to have a good race. And the thing about it is, the more people that keep their head down and they just keep charging and they keep racing, and stay in the field, the bigger the field gets. And the bigger the field gets, the more races that people get to have throughout the field, right? If we had 50 cars right now, the density on track is double, and so
Oh yeah.
just keep in it, It gets better. Keep racing. The field will get bigger. More guys will show up. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a
Yeah,
good
it'll
one.
even itself out.
Yes. Our leaders are making their way through the traffic of the battle that we're looking at. Actually, I believe, is that Rachel Guerin? That is
I don't
Rachel
believe
Guerin. So
so.
my mistake. That's a different McLaren now.
Yeah.
But Xavier and Arjona fighting their way, or making their way through. Rachel Guerin's probably just going to let Sleeping Dogs lie here. She was fighting for her laps back on other cars, but I think she knows that pace is just a little bit too extreme for her. Dave Jones takes a wide berth, lets through the leader. Arjona, he's probably going to take a nice line here to let Xavier through, although it might not happen until after the Audi S. We'll have to see. Xavier doesn't get the best run out of what's the name of that corner? I know you know it. Turn
I'm.
11.
I don't know that one. Let me look it up real quick. That is Vodafone.
Vodafone.
Yeah.
Wow. Haven't thought about that in a while. And Dave Jones holds it to the inside coming out of the Audi S and just lets Xavier by
Yep.
unimpeded. You love to see
Smart
it.
choice.
Absolutely. He also lets his teammate by. You got to wonder if maybe Burke was hoping he would have held Xavier up a little bit more.
Yeah, it's possible. It depends on how much communication they have going on. Um, Jones has been on a more unlucky streak today, so it's possible he's just like, I just don't want to deal with it, you know. And it's possible that he didn't even think about it too.
So, looking through our field right now, notable battles going into the final 10 minutes. I'm just going to give you a rundown here so we're all on the same page. We
Yeah.
have Matt Higgs chasing down John Archie. He's within a second and a half. We have Wesley Stokes. He's within 2 seconds of Higgs. I don't know if that gap is going to close, but he got free of Brandon Baker, and Baker looks to be a non-factor. Silvestri closing in on Baker. He's within a half second of Baker. Now, our next set of battles are further down the field. We've got Barker, Durazio, and Eugeni all within 2 seconds of each other going into the Audi S. Speaking of commentators' curse, it looks like Durazio gets a little bit squirrely going into the first part of the S. Eugenie thinks better of it and hangs back, lets the car sort itself out. Oh, he's
Oh, he goes
super
wide.
wide
Ugh.
into Indianapolis. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know. I think that's the new name, right? They named it Indianapolis now after
Is that what they
repaving it.
named it?
I think that's what they called it after
Oh, I
repaving it.
didn't know that.
I think it's called that. I think now we have 2 Indianapolises in racing because Indy is also
Correct.
Le Mans. Wow, that was close. Durazio super deep on the brakes. I tell you, I could read words on the back of his helmet through his back window. That's how close they were to each other there. That was something special.
Yeah,
Um,
that wait, that's John Alden behind. That's not for position.
I'm talking about Eugenie and Durazio. That is for position.
Oh.
That's for
Oh, okay.
it's
Oh,
for
okay. You're
position
Oh,
with the
I was
caveat
looking
that
behind you. Okay,
we
gotcha.
think that Durazio is going to have a penalty. We have to check. Obviously, we have, that's something that will happen on the review, but it looks like there'll be a penalty for him. So he would still have to clear this by 10, possibly 20 seconds. We'd have to see how everything goes.
I mean, depending on that analysis, though, he could still remain 13th. Um, Stevenson behind
Yes,
is over 10 seconds, so
that
it
is
could,
correct.
again, fingers crossed. It could end up working out to be not a non-issue.
It could work out to be a non-issue, although I'm sure he would like to have this position here. Worst case scenario, though, by my math, even if he is on, even if we double check to see after the race if he was a driver that fell into the probation period, he would only lose 2 positions to Stevenson and Stambuk. That's the only positions he would lose, which is really not that bad. Those BMWs flying the entire race, nose to tail, team orders. I'm sure right now they're over the radio saying, "Look, there's 7 minutes to go. Let's just go ahead. Let's ride out these last few laps. No one get crazy." I say that as I commentator curse them yet again, and Christopher Stevenson gets crooked. This just
It's instant,
hire a shaman. Hire a
right?
shaman. Get me a
We're gonna
rain
need an
dance. I need an
exorcist, I
old
think,
priest
and
and
a
a
young
young
priest.
priest. Thank you. Yes.
Nice,
So
beautiful.
I think they're more than happy to finish 14th and 15th. I think they'll be ecstatic about that finish. I think the team that's going to have the saddest day of all is probably the McLarens. I don't know what went wrong in that camp today, but
Yeah.
they didn't have a tune by
Well,
saying it.
that's not a new
They didn't
experience, unfortunately, for Garage 59. They've
They've
not
had
had a
some ups
great
and
string of luck.
downs. No, but they've had some ups and downs. At Monza, we saw Josh McLaughlin. Now, granted, that is his ace track. But we saw Josh McLaughlin just thrown down. I want to say he ran 6th at some point, maybe even 5th in that race. So it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've got it in them. They've got it in them. It's just a matter of figuring it out. And Spa is going to be a tough one for this car because it's got a lot of aero, it's got a lot of downforce, but it's a rigid vehicle. And so Spa is going to be a tough one for them. We'll have to see what they can do out there.
It'll be definitely something to figure out. In the meantime, we saw Gianmarco Silvestri get really close to Brandon Baker. It's possible he could try and set up a move in the next couple of laps, but he's not going to have much time to do it because even strong as that Ferrari may be, the Audi can be wide, especially when Brandon Baker's at the wheel.
And Biglino, again, I love it, fighting tooth and nail for that 20th position. You'd love to see it. Sometimes the best battles are not always at the front. Now, granted, the battle of Silvestri and Baker is something right now, so they're tight. It's
Yeah,
tight.
it
Last
is
minute rallies.
very,
And
very
Eugenie and
tight.
Barker are within a second. Durazio is within a second of all three, or within 2 seconds of all 3 of them. So that's another tight battle on our field. We've got some stuff developing late into the race. You'd love to see it.
So Higgs is still is just now gotten within a second, well, just barely, of John Archie. He was at 1.3 last we checked on him. So could it be that he's fallen off the pace just a little bit?
It could be. Wesley, I'm sure Wesley wants this top 5. I don't think Higgs is going to give it to him, but I think he wants it.
Higgs giving a
He's
little
3
flashy
seconds off
flashy
Higgs.
as they enter Tarzan box.
Well, yeah. Higgs could, if the battle with Archie doesn't go right for Higgs, and let's face it,
It
Archie has had
There's
some
a good
bad luck.
chance.
There's a good chance. Commentators curse. There's a chance that Wesley finishes 4th place if things go absolutely wrong. And then again, Silvestri hounding, and I'm talking hounding Brandon Baker. Just right up on him. So we're in a situation now where if I'm AXRT, I'm saying, yeah, go get him, Silvestri. They're not worried about the points battle between Burke and between them and the Ferraris and team points. I mean, they
They're looking
are.
at those Audis.
They're looking at those Audis, yeah. So I think everybody on this track, except for the Audis, wants to see Gianmarco Silvestri find this pass, and I think it'd be what is it? What's it called, an earmark of his ESR career. I'm not sure
Oh
if this
yeah,
is the right
yeah.
word.
In your mark,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it'd be a good point of reference for his career, because he's not gotten his drive through. I just jinxed it. He's not gotten his usual drive through for track limits. He's raced very well this race. Interestingly enough, if we look at the spread of the field, it looks a little bit more natural this race, where we have our platinum and gold drivers filing towards the front of the field, minus those that had issues. There's a couple overperforming silver drivers, and then the bronze drivers are usually, thereabouts where they usually are. So we've had a lot of crazy upsets with silver and bronze drivers the last couple weeks. There was some murmurs in the paddock, like, well, what are they doing in that class? Come on, man, they're out there in 6th place. But
Yeah.
hey, some people spike a race.
What? It happens.
Shout outs to Andreas. He won a race in the rain, and he's a bronze driver.
Andreas who?
Shout-outs. Andreas Lakudis.
Like
He
Kudis.
won
Yes,
a race
yes,
in the
okay.
rain.
Okay, all right.
So anybody can do it in the wet, apparently, or maybe not everybody.
I mean, hell, I won a race somehow. I don't know how that. I don't know how that worked.
Yeah. So everybody can spike a race. Sometimes a guy gets a track and the car's set up just right. Oh man, this battle with Silvestri is just
It's
making
spicy.
me hungry. You think if Silvestri passes him, he'll still be allowed to come to the barbecue?
It's gonna be dicey. I don't know. I don't see why not.
And Wesley's cut a second into Higgs in about 4 minutes. Oh no, he blows the Audi S. No, he keeps it on track, but he lost a lot of time doing that. So
commentator's curse.
Commentator's curse again, man. I just watched
It's
the race with my eyes
full
closed.
force today.
Hear no evil,
right?
see no evil. Yeah, I know, the rain clouds over my head. I cursed the rain,
and we're seeing
too.
Brandon Baker botch the S as well. Silvestri desperately trying to find a way by as they approach the last corner. There's just not room for it though. He's gonna nose into backs out.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that might have been by Baker.
That might have been a. Well, he's not losing out too much by it.
Yeah.
He had to pretty ruin his momentum in order to avoid hitting Baker for a second there.
Oh, and it looks like McLaughlin made a mistake, and I can only imagine Big Lino got by. Yeah, Big Lino's clear of McLaughlin. Nice job, Big Lino.
God,
you
nice.
Go get him, bro. You go get him.
I dig this.
You know what I'm saying? Say peace out, arrivederci, bye-bye, and
there
see
we
you
go.
later.
Well, of course, again, Renault claims Josh yet again. Wait, no, that wasn't Josh. That was a 69. That was wait, what?
No, the 69 is Stevenson. Are you talking about Rachel Guerin? Biglino is by McLaughlin. 64 McLaughlin is.
Oh yeah, you're right. I was mixing my numbers.
So looking at the battle now between Higgs and Archie, this is a pretty big swing in points. Luckily, Stokes more or less neutralizes some of that by his fantastic fight with Baker, and being able to clear him. Yeah, that last thing really hurt. Oh, and we're on the final lap now.
Yeah.
Oh no! Don't lose it now, Wesley. I'm looking. I'm not looking. I'm not watching. Bye bye.
I was gonna say, don't jinx it. Wesley did lose a substantial amount of time going through Renault. I'm not sure exactly what happened
not
there.
having a good time. He's straight up not having a good time right now.
Well, I mean, he's only 2 spots down off of his quali, but yeah. He's into the pits. The pits? What is going on?
What is going on? The race isn't over yet, bud.
What are you doing?
What is going on?
This could be disaster. No way.
Is he gonna run out of fuel?
That's my only thought. The car looks pristine.
He thinks clearly he thinks the race is over. There's no other way about it.
What? No, there's no way.
He must have miscalculated his fuel. He had to stop for a splash and dash.
Yeah, he needed fuel. Yeah, there's no way. I was gonna say, like, there's
and
no way
he gets really tail happy when that happens. So how many positions did he lose from that?
Oh man.
11th. He's in 11th.
Oh wow.
He lost 5 spots for that. Shades of me, by the way.
Devastating. Yes.
Now the crazy thing is, if he recognized he wasn't going to make it, you can gain a lap of fuel here, with losing about only 10 to 20, about 20 seconds here. I've done it. I know, that's how I know. I was 4th
Yeah.
place, going on 3rd place. As I was approaching Xavier, Arjona, excuse me, for 3rd place, I realized I was going to run out of fuel if I didn't start saving. I had 10 liters in the tank. I saved a whole extra lap of fuel with only 10 liters in the tank, and made it across the line with 0.2. So
Wow.
that was a lot of lift and coast.
No
I know what
kidding.
I'm doing. All right, and our
So we just
leaders.
had a
I'm so
beautiful.
sorry.
No, it's
Congrats
okay.
to our
We had a.
leaders, Arjona, Castano, and Burke in our top 3.
Yeah, we had a beautiful finishing there with the twin Porsches doing a side by side drive by Arjona and Castano, and then the BMWs of Stevenson and Stambuk behind did the exact same thing. So it was picturesque. I dug it.
Now I don't think Silvestri has enough of a run to get by Baker, but they're
No,
chasing each other down the straightaway in the draft. Nelson on Sean Kenny. Is he gonna get it done before the line? I don't think so.
no.
Nah, it was a close one. That was a
That would
close
have been
one.
epic. Well, props to Nelson for picking up 9th place from Stokes,
Yeah.
who
Now,
unfortunately with that fuel situation.
yeah, and Eugeni has 2 last corners to try and get it done on Durazio, because Durazio seemed to have passed him. Again, we don't know what the penalty situation looks. That's going to have to go into review. He might be scot-free, so every position counts. He goes wide. He puts it in the sand.
Oh,
Xavier
it
throws it up the
hits
inside, and he
Eugenie.
slams the door on
Oh
Eugeni.
no,
Wow.
Eugenie bounces off into the wall.
Wow. Now,
He's not
Eugeni's
gonna.
just got to limp it across the line here, but that
He's not under threat
was
from anyone. But oh,
something. That was something.
it was
I
sketchy.
saw, yeah.
I don't know what I saw there, but I know I didn't like it.
Yeah, that was something.
And with that, the race is over. Our final order. We're not going to get to see it, I guess. Well, we can take a look here. Albert Arjona, 1st place. Congrats. Javier Castaño Munoz in 2nd. Andrew Burke in 3rd.
You need me
John
to run
Archie
through it?
4th. What's that?
Do you need the rest of the running order? I have it because I'm in car.
Oh, just the top 5. It's
Okay.
getting cut off for me, but I already got through it. Brandon Baker in 6th, Gianmarco Silvestri in 7th, Sean Kenny holding off David Nelson for 8th. David Nelson getting by Stokes, who with that last minute of fuel splash that he needed to get, tragically down to 10th. John Barker. I almost wonder if that's kind of an offshoot of a commentator's curse there.
Yeah.
But because I was just getting ready to say that he's been 6th. He only lost a couple of spots off his qualifying. It could have been a lot worse. And then down you go. But anyway, finishing off the top 10 or top 15, John Barker in 11th, Carlo Durazio 12th, Javier Eugeni 13th. Tipping off these BMW little squad with Chris Stevenson 14th and Brandon Stambuk in 15th. So what a freaking crazy race. There was so much going on there, especially at the end. We'll have to see how Carlo Durazio's penalty situation works out. It's not that he did any damage to Eugenie at the end, but I'm kind of curious if that who kind of caused that.
Yeah, I think we'll have to take a look on that one. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. Some drivers have had some tragedy, unfortunately for what happened to Turcotte, but that's okay. We don't have a problem with the he had a technical issue which stopped his car on the track. So it is what it is. Otherwise, excellent showing from AXRT. Glad to see that Wesley was able to follow in my footsteps. Now I want to make sure we keep this going quickly because I know we have things coming up next, and I
Absolutely.
don't want to. What's that?
This is absolutely.
Yeah,
Agreed.
so I don't want to take too much time. Congratulations to our winners. Excellent race. Remember, we have a week off because we're going into a 90-minute race, which will be Spa. It is double points. Be there. Get your teammates there. You got a flaky teammate? Tell them that this is the one that counts the most. It's worth double points. It's 2 times. This counts for 2 races. So come on, get them in. Come on down. Get into the race. Yeah, get that butt in here.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. We need more blood. We need more race. Yeah, so we got a week skip. Next race on June 13th. Same as always. We got a 90-minute extra long race. So bring your water bottles. Get that drink button lubed up. We need to have some serious attendance coming in. Yeah. Oh,
all right,
yeah.
guys.
Oh, delicious.
I am Justin. I am signing out. I will leave my co-commentator here to sign us off from the broadcast. You have a lovely day, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here, and thank you for watching. If anyone's out there or in the ethos of Twitch, have a wonderful day. I love you all. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Yes, for you all in that in the ether, and anyone wanting to get into racing or streaming of that nature, ESR-race.org. You can see it on the screen. We do racing series and basically everything. Assetto, Corsa, Competizione, like you saw here, Race Room, Wreckfest even. If you just want to get your toes out or if you just want to talk, here we are. Just come find us, ESR-race.org. I'm Cole McCray. Love to have you here. I hope that you've had a great week, and I will see you next time at Spa. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.